I'm Kevin Ranke, and I'd like to welcome you to Beyond the Echo. I ran for governor in Michigan. After losing that election, my desire to look at issues that are important to the state or the country grew. There is so much static. There are so many opinions. Our news stations have gotten to the point where we don't know what news is anymore. Where do you go to get real facts? This is about real perspective for you. Beyond the Echo will cut through all the smoke, all the opinions. It's not about Republicans. It's not about Democrats. It's about the issues and what are real. Hey, welcome to Beyond the Echo. And today, we're going to talk about some things post-election. And the first thing that I'd like to bring up is what makes Donald Trump good for America? He surprised all the pundits. He surprised all the politicians. And if I could sum it up in one word, it would be that Donald Trump is real. He's not perfect. He's emotional. He's driven. He's comfortable in his own skin. Donald Trump loves this country. And how he expresses that, instead of people picking on, maybe they should take a step back and see it for what it is. A patriotism and a care for everything America, not just himself. Yep, Donald Trump's a rich man. Yep, he's a billionaire. How many billionaires do you know that go to McDonald's and make French fries? And you can say, look, it was a photo op. Everything in politics is a photo op. Nice try. The fact of the matter is that most politicians wouldn't be willing to go there. Donald Trump has the innate ability to understand people at every level in American society and where they're at. And with that knowledge, he's able to communicate in a way that traditional politicians do not understand. And it's intimidating. Donald Trump can go to the country club, but most likely he's going to own the country club, because if he didn't, he might not get in because some of the people at that country club wouldn't like the fact that he's direct, that he is going to express his opinion, and that he's comfortable doing it. And he doesn't care if you like him or not. What he cares about is, will you listen or not? And his intentions are great. He's obviously a great business guy. And there are going to be some people who have done business with him that say, I don't like him. He stiffed me out of a buck. There'll be an employee that says he wasn't nice or he wasn't fair. And guess what? In business, that happens. You've seen other employees do that to bosses or to owners of companies. It's not uncommon. It doesn't make them bad people. It's real. Donald Trump's had more than one wife. Well, guess what? So have a huge percentage of people in America. And how they got to having a second wife is between them. My point is this: it's real. And he can relate. He's experienced it. Because, love and hate are the same emotion. Love and hate are relative. Understanding that emotion and being able to deal with it is something that makes Donald Trump unique. He's a decisive leader, and how he goes about leading is how good leaders do. There's a unique combination of collaboration with authoritarian decisiveness. Donald Trump is a bright guy, but Donald Trump realizes he's not the smartest guy in the room, and he's going to ask people for their opinions. He's going to listen behind closed doors where it should be instead of out in the public. and then he's going to reach the best decision he can at the time. And you know what else I like about Donald Trump? If his decision is wrong, he usually fixes it. He works to do better. Not for himself, but maybe for himself. Because when you do better, he does better. That's what motivates Donald Trump. His ego to be fed by the citizens of our country. And that makes a good leader. That makes a great leader. That creates new opportunities that traditional bureaucrats don't understand, that traditional politicians really aren't interested in, that lobbyists can't buy. Donald Trump wants to do the right thing in his view. Does that make him right every time? No. But his intentions are more pure, in my view, than many of the politicians that are in Washington, D.C. I mean, aren't you really tired of people who wilt under pressure, who don't have the backbone to stand up to the pressure, that succumb to polls or that succumb to whatever the topic of the day is? Donald Trump's a resilient guy. He states his position and he sticks to it. And then it evolves if it needs to evolve. But a lot of folks in Washington don't do that. In today's world, Donald Trump has a vision for America. And this should be really offensive and really objective to every American. What a rotten vision. He wants America to be the greatest country in the world. What a terrible idea. He wants its citizens to have the very best of what the greatest country in the world can offer them. Man, that's offensive. He's demanding because he wants the best cities. He wants the best education. He wants more opportunity than any politician I've ever seen in my lifetime. And he wants it not for himself, but for you and for me. And while I don't always like his style or his jam, the way he says it at times, I look deeper. And I'd encourage other people to look deeper. He knows how to negotiate. He focuses on results. And the results aren't for him. Because what does Donald Trump get out of it other than being the president of the United States? You get the results. That's why when Donald Trump was president, minorities, their personal net worth went up 40%. Those are real tangible results. We had low inflation because of the business environment that he created. He was bold. He was able to negotiate. He was able to be a champion of an economy that we hadn't seen maybe since Ronald Reagan. And I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. You know, Obama said that he did great things for the economy, and Biden said he did great things for the economy, and Jimmy Carter said he did great things for the economy. And when you go back to Jimmy Carter, great things for the economy were 21% interest rates. Gas being allocated based on your license plate number. Unemployment and education faltering. But he did great things because that's what the press does in this country. They like to focus on promoting an agenda that they believe in instead of reporting real news. The press has gotten into an editorial cycle instead of reporting fact. And what's an editorial? Nothing more than someone's opinion. really hard to argue. How much does gas cost? $1.48 or $3.48? What do you prefer? How much was hamburger? How much was lettuce? Was the world a safer place? Were you safer? Was he working to establish a border that protected his sovereignty, but most importantly, he was protecting your sovereignty? How in the heck can we look at news as Americans? And you turn on one channel and they report something, and you turn on another channel and it's like it never happened. Recently, I was watching TV and a gentleman who was in our country illegally, that's a crime, by the way. He is an illegal alien, killed a young lady. And some news stations didn't bother to even report the fact that it happened. And other news stations said, what a travesty that the accused killer, the convicted killer, never had a chance in our legal system. And you know what I think? The gal that he killed never had a chance. She went out for a jog. She went out to get ready to live her day or her evening, and she never came home to her family. And yet the media wanted to manipulate. And it's okay. It's a fact. The guy was an illegal alien. Every news station should report that. The guy was convicted. Every news station should report that. The guy was convicted of murder. And it was of a U.S. citizen. And yet there are people that want to argue about, was the trial fair? Of course the trial was fair. The evidence was overwhelming. And if that was your daughter, maybe, just maybe, she had a voice. Maybe, just maybe, that family had a right to have their story told. And it should resonate with all Americans, not just some. It's a fact. And we need to get back to factual leadership. And Trump, he can BS. He can blow smoke with the best of them. He's a charismatic guy. But at the end of the day, let's hold him accountable to real numbers. Let's not rewrite how we calculate inflation, Barack Obama, just by happening to leave out the cost of transportation and the cost of food and the cost of housing. We're going to recalculate inflation so it looks better. Why don't we stop creating new names and phrases and terms, and let's just stick to the ones that everybody knows? It's okay. It's simply okay. I don't know why we have to genderize everything. There's boys and there's girls. It's okay. You can identify however you want. If you're gay, you're gay. You don't need a separate category of gay. Let's just leave it at gay. Okay? It is what it is. If you're straight, you're straight. We don't need a separate category for that. And when we look at our governance, when we look at our society, when we look at our world, let's make it simple instead of complicated. There's value to simplicity. What do you want? Do you want to be able to provide for your family? Donald Trump wants that. That's a good thing. What do you want? You want safety and security. Donald Trump wants law and order. and he wants consistent law and order. And I'm going to talk about something that, a lot of people don't like to talk about. I believe that the people that broke the law on January 6th should be charged appropriately. Just like the people that burned down Minnesota and other parts of the country when they were rioting over George Floyd. They broke the law. And that was a choice. May have been an emotional choice, but there should be consequences. And in a society, there needs to be a structure that deals with that fairly, quickly, equally. Let's get back to that. Let's keep it simple. Is it going to be 100%? Nope. And for all those people out there that want to look for fly shit and pepper, have at it. Have at it. You live like that. I don't want to. I want America to be great. I want Michigan to be great. I want to have things simple so people can understand at every level how things work. To come to good decisions requires complex thought and evaluation and discussion. We have cell phones now. We have the internet. We have instant news, 24-hour news. And guess what? When you have access to that much data, you can spin anything the way you want. People make mistakes. I misposted something on Michigan's population, and someone caught it. A lot of people would try and lie about it. I said, you know what? Oops, my brain was thinking faster than my fingers in my mouth. I put it out there wrong. Thanks for pointing it out. Now, in that particular post, I said that the population was down 38% as a percentage of the average of 39 states. But I didn't make it clear. And someone brought it to my attention. I think that's great. I knew what I was thinking. I just didn't say it very well. And instead of being offended, I was happy that someone said, Kevin, you got some splaining to do. I didn't make the numbers up. It's not the end of the day. I wasn't trying to deceive somebody. And I don't think that Donald Trump, when he expresses something, is trying to deceive anybody. He's not trying to lie. It's his reality. And isn't it true that our perceptions are our reality? So I just think that when we look at politicians, and in Michigan, we've got a choice coming up into 2026. There's a whole bunch of names that have been tossed out there, including my own, as to who's going to run for governor. And we've got a lot of people that want a job. And that's great. That's part of the American dream. That's part of the opportunity. For me, and I have not determined if I'm going to run yet or not, for me, I want someone who doesn't want a job, who doesn't need a job. I want someone who wants to do a job. And to do a job, they have to define what their actions are going to be. They're not the shiny penny. They're not the best looking necessarily or the most articulate. I want someone who's real, who says, this is what I see for my state. This is what I can do on these issues, who provides for me an opportunity to be successful. Because true leaders create an opportunity for the people they lead to be successful. And you know what else they provide? Where we're going. Some companies call them mission statements. Some companies call them vision statements. Everybody wants to know where they're going. Think about it for a minute. If you have a leader that wants you to be successful, what does that success potentially look like? So they provide, where are we going? They talk about what's it going to take to get there. They talk about how you're doing along the way. They recognize the fact that there are going to be challenges, so they talk about who you go to if you need help. And you know what else they let you know? What's in it for you? What's in it for the American people? What's in it for the people of Michigan? So I'm not looking for someone who wants a job. I don't want a job. I'm willing to do a job, potentially. And I want people who want to do a job. And if you followed me on Beyond the Echo, if you follow me on social media, if you've seen me speak, I talk about what's important for me. And it starts with our kids' educations. I think it's a tremendous responsibility for parents and for our state to ensure that our children, our most vulnerable asset, are given a chance for success. And the one criteria that is mandatory is the ability to read at grade level. Michigan's under 50% of our kids reading literacy at grade level. Kevin Rinke's got a goal of 94% and says he can do it in 40 months based on the process and the people that I would involve. I think that our tax structure needs to be reformed. It's your money. I recently posted that Michigan spends 36 times more on corporate incentives than the state that spends the least amount of money. In fact, there are only 3 states in America that spend more money on corporate handouts than Michigan. I don't think that's great. Our business climate is suffering. Our population is suffering. Our tax base is suffering. Somewhere along the lines, we're spending your money and we're not getting a result. And there's nobody holding it accountable. Nobody. Not a Republican, not a Democrat. I think we need to fix that. I think personal income tax is the easiest, most effective way to reward the citizens of Michigan for the poor performance that government has provided to them over the last many years. You know, interesting, since we implemented our income tax, the state's gone backward every single year in revenue collection, in population. It has been a disaster when you look at the numbers. In the 9 states that don't have personal income taxes, quite frankly, are growing, are prospering, their incomes are up, their populations are up, their tax levels are lower than Michigan's because more people are paying taxes. See, I believe that when you've got your money in your pocket versus the state having your money in their pocket, that you're going to choose how to spend it wisely to benefit yourself. Wow, that's novel. I think Donald Trump thinks the same thing. Isn't it interesting that Donald Trump wants to lower taxes on American businesses as well as American citizens? Isn't it interesting that Donald Trump's talking about doing away with the Department of Education, which has never done anything other than hurt public education in our country? Isn't it interesting that the impetus behind income tax was focused in the Eisenhower presidency because the federal government was growing so fast? And before Eisenhower, government at the federal level and the state level rose at roughly the same pace. The spending, the cost was equal. But during Eisenhower's presidency, the federal government grew so fast that he actually created a commission to go out to states, and there were 19 of them at the time that didn't have income tax. It had been over 48 years since a state had added personal income tax, and said, we need to convince states to get personal income tax so the state government costs rise to lower the gap between the federal government growth and the state government growth. Think about that. The states created a tax so they could match the growth of the federal government. Folks, you can read about it. It's historically accurate. You know, there's going to be people that say, that's nuts. It's not. A bad decision we continue to pay today. You know, what could we learn from Donald Trump's victory in Michigan? Most notably, the people in America, as well as Michigan, because the popular vote went to Donald Trump. People are looking for change. People are looking for real leadership. People are looking for leaders that understand what is important to the citizenry. And it's the economy. It's your ability to care for yourself and your pocketbook and your family. It's the safety and security within your household and your community. You got to have a leader that understands that. And all of the think tanks, all of the entities that want to say we can't do things different, we need a leader that's strong enough and savvy enough to deal with them and to be able to set a direction and to come up with solutions that aren't just 4-year solutions, but that are long-term solutions. America and Michigan deserve better. And if we do things the same way, isn't that the definition of insanity? Shouldn't we accept the same result if we keep doing things the same way? I don't think we're going to do things the same way with Donald Trump. I don't think we did things the same way when Donald Trump was president previously. Donald Trump is not part of the old boys school and doesn't want to be a member. And we need a leader in Michigan that's not part of the old boys school and that doesn't need to be a member, but who can sit down with the old boys and come to a conclusion that benefits everybody in Michigan. And if the old boys can make money or the old gals can make money off it, so be it. Who cares? If it's better for you, it should be better for them too. And our lives are relative. We need a leader that says, I'm leading everybody in Michigan. I'm not leading a party. And that leader doesn't have to sacrifice any of his personal beliefs or his party's foundational beliefs to lead everyone. It's not an all or nothing scenario. It just simply isn't the reality of life or the reality of the world that is politics. You've heard me say it before, 85, 90% we agree on. If we can move Michigan forward on the 90% that we agree on and leave the 10% off the table, or maybe pick 1% of that 10% and turn it into 9, or 2% of that 10% and turn it into 8% that we disagree on, we're making tremendous progress. See, there's a path forward for Michigan. There is a brighter future for Michigan if we recognize the fact that Michigan is struggling. It's an observation. It's a factual observation. There are measurables that we can point to that simply say we have to do better. I was talking with somebody when I drove up today. I'm in Owasso filming, and we were talking about the city of Detroit. And I applaud all the progress that the city of Detroit has made. I think it's great. In my view, my standard, my expectation for the city of Detroit, which was once the third largest city in America, which was once one of the most financially successful cities in America, is to get back to that status, not to be naive to the fact that we've made progress, but we're just getting back to the start line, in my view. Yes, people have done some good things. Yes, people have been philanthropic. There have been some investors that have taken a risk and have been rewarded. It's great. But the city of Detroit is bigger than a 4-block radius. The city of Detroit has tax issues. The city of Detroit has crime issues. The city of Detroit has housing issues. The city of Detroit has service issues. And the vast majority of those have been created by politicians and need to be fixed if we really want to see Michigan thrive, if we really want to see what a successful city looks like. Yep, there's always going to be crime. We need a lot less crime. Yep, there's always going to be a vacant lot, but we need a lot more houses that are owned by the people that live in the city, that offer a spectrum of opportunity to purchase and to accumulate wealth. See, within our system, in today's world, the fastest way for people to improve their personal standing is through homeownership. Everything we do should be focused on creating opportunities for homeownership that allows people to move from home to home to home as they improve their position, as they improve their asset, as they care for it. It starts with giving them an opportunity. And then the responsibility switches to the homeowner and their family. They've got to take care of it. They've got to paint it. They've got to trim the yard and the bushes. They've got to fix things up. And then they can sell that and take that money and take a step forward into the next level. There's a process, and it's discipline, and it's focused, but it starts with an opportunity. And right now, in many of our cities, unintentionally, our local government has had a negative effect with how they tax properties. The inequity of taxation of properties needs to be addressed. Opportunity for financing, opportunity for affordable housing versus just generic housing. I made a comment again on Facebook or X, whatever you want to call it. I did it on both, actually. And it was interesting. I said that we have a housing crisis in Michigan in our population centers. And a bunch of people said, well, in the country, we don't want subdivisions. It's not what I was talking about. You know, we don't want this or we don't want that. Not what I'm talking about. And oh, by the way, for those folks that live in the country that don't want more development, where you live is a development. I get it. Times change. Things happen. It's not always easy. But if it's good development, let's enjoy the success of the people that are joining us. If we have a sense of community and we welcome people into that community, you know what? That neighbor that built a house that we didn't like on their 10 acres, if it's out in the country, or their 4 acres, if it's out in the country, if they're a good person, that house gets better looking. If they take care of their property, if you can count on them and they bring value, that's the Michigan that I want. In the cities, I want to take people that rent and give them an opportunity to own, to build personal wealth, to be able to show the pride of that. And there's always dirtbags. There's losers that want to, they're slumlords and they're this and they're that, and they take advantage of all of these loopholes and all of these abatements that were created by who? Politicians that were trying to not fix a problem, but address a symptom of a problem. If we have a proper tax structure, we don't need property tax abatements for businesses or homeowners. They'll come. They'll pay tax. Isn't it funny that we create loopholes instead of eliminate loopholes? And then we get angry when people take advantage of the loopholes, because the people creating the loopholes weren't smart enough to figure out that somebody else smarter than them looks at that as an opportunity. And so what do? We make more loopholes to close the loophole? How about we keep it simple? I said it earlier. How about just fair taxes? How about no personal income tax? How about electing politicians that have an agenda? How about, instead of the citizenry trying to micromanage the actions of the politician, they endorse the politician or the candidate? Because even though I've run for governor, I wasn't a politician. I was a candidate. And I don't want to be a politician. I want to be a candidate that, if I run, wins, and then I want to do my job, not be political. The state GOP needs to recognize our government now is business. And there are tens of millions of dollars. There are billions of dollars that are being pushed through government. And it's all your money. So to elect somebody who has no experience in business, who does not understand, who can't articulate a vision and policies that are important to you, but we elect them because they're funny? We elect them because of their sex? We elect them because of their race? And then we're disappointed when they make bad decisions and we suffer? Come on. That's not what we need. And everybody can have a role. Everybody can contribute. But not everybody's going to have the title. And so I'd caution the GOP. Our state party isn't functioning properly. Whether you elect Christina or not, it was a mess, and it hurt Michigan. Whether you like Pete Hoekstra or not, he stabilized things for the whole party. He created opportunities for Michigan that were going away under Christina. And it's nothing against Christina. She wasn't qualified to be the party leader. She didn't understand the job. Ambassador Hoekstra, Congressman Hoekstra, Representative Hoekstra did. And so we put a Band-Aid on it. Who should be the next state party leader? I don't know. Somebody who understands what the job is, who can stay focused, and then who can execute. We need an operator. We don't need an ideologue. We don't need someone well-intended that wants to try, because trying implies you can fail. And when it comes to governance in Michigan, we can't continue to have failures. We can't continue to say, oh, the state's really doing great, when it's not. Remember the story of all the emperor's clothes? It took a hell of a lot of courage for someone to tell the emperor that he was standing there buck naked. And Michigan's pretty darn close to being buck naked right now. I don't care what the press says. Yep, we've improved in some areas. There's some things going on. Michigan's struggling. And we deserve better. And it starts with leadership. That's my belief. And I hope you find value, because it does require thought. And it's hard to articulate that thought. But what I'd really like to see from you is feedback in our Beyond the Echo comment sections. What do you think Michigan needs? And before you just throw out a laundry list, take a deep breath and think not just for yourself, but for the state of Michigan. And you know what I think we'll start to find is that there'll be similarity, there'll be continuity. And once we identify those things, maybe we'll have a leader that can offer you real solutions in real time that you can feel, that aren't just campaign promises. That's the type of leader that we need. Someone who campaigns on what they're going to do, who does it, and who allows you to feel like you were part of it. Thanks for listening. I'll look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Beyond the Echo. Thanks for tuning in to Beyond the Echo. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe so you never miss an update. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop us a comment and share the podcast with your friends. Stay connected and keep the conversation going by following us on social media. Until next time, keep exploring Beyond the Echo.